Einstein once said, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." Einstein's logic was simple and sobering. A future war that is using nuclear weapons would be so devastating that it would erase modern infrastructures, technology, and social order, leaving survivors with only primitive tools. Albert Einstein and another scientist, Robert Oppenheimer, who in 1945 played a central role in the development of the first atomic weapons, quickly grasped the terrifying power of mass destruction these weapons represented. Troubled by what they had helped unleash, they were instrumental in founding the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, an organization devoted to warning the world about nuclear danger and monitoring its evolution. An institution we have mentioned a few times in recent years. It is still very active today and includes among its members Nobel Prize laureates, scientists, and professors from universities around the world. To communicate the level of global risk, they developed what is called the Doomsday clock, which is adjusted each year to indicate how close humanity is to self-destruction. Last year, the clock stood at 89 seconds. This year, it was moved to 85 seconds before midnight, the closest it has ever been. And this is the point that we should not miss. This assessment does not stem from any government, political agenda, or religious movement. These are scientists from many nations who are sounding the loudest alarm humanity has ever heard. Here we have science-based warnings, biblical prophecy, and current events converging towards the same end. What then led them to move the doomsday clock so close to midnight? They first pointed to the increasing aggressive posture of nuclear powers, just like Russia, China, and the United States. They also cited multiple ongoing conflicts and wars with the potential to escalate into a global conflict. Ukraine and the Middle East, including the growing Israel-Iran confrontation. At this very moment, by the way, the US naval armada is moving towards Iran, preparing for possible strikes. In addition, these scientists warned about the rapid advance of artificial intelligence, which they believe could worsen today's chaos and misinformation. AI can spread false and misleading information faster on a much larger scale, making it increasingly difficult for societies to agree even on basic facts. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists also identified another factor, perhaps most revealing of all, a global failure of leadership. In simple terms, they see a world desperate for someone to rise above the chaos and bring order, stability, and regulations to everything. This is where prophecy actually meets history. Today, the Western world, and Europe in particular, finds itself in a historical condition uniquely prepared to produce and welcome such a figure on whom the Bible identifies as the Antichrist. There are at least three major developments in Europe that suggest the conditions that are forming right now for such a leader to rise. First, recent tensions with the United States, especially talks of taking control of Greenland and the threat of tariffs, have greatly shaken Europe. As a result, many European leaders are openly calling for deeper unity among the 27 nations of the European Union, even speaking of a future United States of Europe. According to the French news outlet France 24, Trump has turned the world upside down, they say, and intentionally pushing Europe to regroup and reshape itself just as prophecies seemed to anticipate. One European economist, Nicolas Protier, remarked, he says, Trump is forcing Europeans to grow a spine. Some analysts estimate that a political, military, and economic in Europe merger could happen as early as 2029. Together, the 27 European countries represent about 450 million people, a population larger than that of the United States and close to the combined population of the US and Russia. Europe can become a powerful world power, and this is how prophecies sees the end time. We're getting closer and closer to the rise of this Antichrist, but most importantly, to the coming of the Lord for his bride. Second, the growing threat from Russia is also driving Europe towards unity. According to the head of the Western Military Alliance, Russia could be capable of attacking a NATO member within 5 years. As a result, Europe is already preparing for this attack. Third, Europe is facing a serious immigration crisis. One has spoken of a civilizational eraser, stating that if current trends continues, the continent may become unrecognizable within 20 years. This pressure is fueling the rise of far-right and authoritarian political parties, which are now stronger than ever in Europe. If the Antichrist were to rise soon, it is very possible he would emerge from this political environment. Today, what prophecy has long warned about is now echoed even by scientists, and especially through this doomsday clock. This is the moment to take these prophecies seriously and to proclaim them clearly so that many can turn and would turn to the one Savior who is Yeshua Mashiach, and remember that he who watches over Israel, he who watches over the world, neither slumber nor sleep. We can sleep because he actually is watching for us.